All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the last session of our week 4 pause work replays. We are hitting our lower body strength and conditioning, or conditioning and strength, I should say, because today we are starting off with our conditioning work and finishing off with our strength after we do our warm-up, which we're doing together, of course, and to talk about the equipment that you're going to need. We need our mat, we need our supportive footwear, as well as our dumbbells. We're going to be using our bands today, and we have our slider, or in my case, a towel that I can slide on the floor like this. If you don't have a slider or a floor that slides, maybe working on carpet, rubber, something like that, you know I have options for you, so don't worry about stressing out about that. But if you have something along those lines, then grab it and get it ready. We'll need it for our strength work, which again is going to be after the warm-up and the conditioning. So let's get you started with the warm-up, which starts off with some lunges, arms down by our sides. We're doing 10 lunges where we step backwards, arms go up. We know these ones. We've been here before. We're getting that stretch through the front of the hip, a little bit of balance as I look to the side, trying to get down to 90 degrees, alternating our legs, 5 per side, 10 reps total. Finishing up these ones, again, you can just follow along. If you don't want to count, that's okay. I get it. You're going to have to do lots of counting in your session. We're doing 10 more. But this time, as we step down, we're going to turn in once, reset, and then come back up to the top. Trying to get those arms straight. A little bit of bend in the elbows is okay, but we want nice, strong arms, high chest as we're working through these alternating, twisting lunges, moving through the torso. So we want to make sure that we're not having any movement through the hips, just that torso, that hip flexor stretch. So we have 2 more. Breathing. Last one. And the next one is a hinging version. So we're going to stand hip width apart in the feet, soft knees, overhead. Arms go up and stay up as we work with this overhead hip hinge. We're trying to get the glutes stretching the hamstrings, and we want to squeeze our butt to stand ourselves up to the top. And this is something that you're really going to have to think about. It doesn't just naturally happen unless you practice it all the time. We're doing 10 reps total, so I keep going on them. And again, as we go down, we're feeling that stretch. And when we get down to the bottom, we squeeze. We pull ourselves up using those glutes, those butte muscles. So I'll let you finish off your 10. So close my pop-up here. Then we have some side lunges. All the lunges in our warm-up. So finishing up those 10, we're going to come over to one side of our mat, stepping out to the side, shifting the hips back, shifting back to that first side, and then pushing ourselves up to the top. That's 1. We're doing 10 of these total. So again, it's very essential in these side lunges that the hips are driven back behind the body, getting that opening stretch through the adductor. And then we have, again, some activation work on the legs, because we're having to use this hip and leg to push ourselves up into that straight up position here. So we'll work with these 10 total, 5 per side, getting that stretch through adductor. It always feels so nice, especially again if you haven't done too much before this. We'll just work with whatever range we have. Again, not forcing anything. We never do in the warm-ups because we don't want to hurt ourselves. It's never the goal. We'll work through these last 2. Arms can come in front of us to help promote those hips to go back. Last one. And then we are headed down onto the floor for our next 2. So we have a little bit of activation involved in this next part. Bridging position. So our feet are almost essentially touching. Low back into the floor. We're going to push our hips up to the top, lifting up one leg, trying to keep our hips as stable as possible as we switch and lift up the other leg. You guys are doing 20 of these total. And since this is not the most ideal position for me, I'm going to let you do those on your own. So 20 reps, alternating your feet, lifting up, and trying to control that tilting, that shifting that happens in your hips. And what you have to do is stabilize before you lift that opposite leg up. Think about tightening up that standing or that bridging leg, and then switch and do the other side. So 20 reps of those ones, and then once you're done, do not get too keen on standing up because we have one more, which is our dead bug version, which again is all about our core, your dead bug. You should probably think about your core because that's what we're working. So we'll finish up those 20. If you're not done, you can just kind of look over this way. We want our palms, our legs, all of them together, squeezing same side, same knee, same hand. And then we're going to lower opposite arm, or sorry, same arm, same leg, alternating what side? Right side and then left side. Same rules apply. Backs down on the floor. And then if you want to make it a bit more challenging, you can straighten out your leg. Or if you're like me and it's already challenging enough, then we'll keep that leg bent. Same count on these ones. We're doing 20 reps total of these dead bugs. And we're trying to create that pressure between that hand, specifically the ones that are not lowering down. We want to keep those nice and tight so that there's no room in between the hand and the knee. And yeah, some coordination. Good morning, brain. Good morning, core. Afternoon. Some of us do this in the evening. Whatever time it is, we should be feeling all those things happening. So we'll finish up our 20. Woo! Hopefully you're feeling warm because that is the last part to our warm up. We're going to start you off with our conditioning work, which today is 3 exercises. We're going to be working with our 3 movements, working off a timer. So yay, no counting, just your sets. We're going to complete 3 rounds of these 3 movements, 1 minute on, 30 whole seconds off. So we're going to be working for 60 seconds, resting for 30 seconds between our movements, and then of course between our rounds because there's no additional rest. So you can go ahead and set your timer now. We're going to talk about these 3 movements. Again, if you'd like, you can sort of follow along, practice them with me now so you really know what you're doing, or you can just watch. That's cool too. First one is our off-knee bird dogs. Oh yes. So for 1 whole minute, we're going to be on our hands and knees. Rather, we're going to be popped off our knees, lifting up our opposite arm and our opposite leg. 60 seconds of this, okay? If this is too challenging, you can try just doing your legs, or you can try shoulder tapping instead, okay? But I want you to try and see if you can work with that opposite arm and leg lift. It's harder than it looks. 1 minute, my friends, okay? 30 seconds of rest. Gonna need it. After that one, before you go into this next one, which is our power lunges. So our power lunges, we're going to do 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, 3 on that side, 3 on this side, and alternate between the 2. We want to try to get into the lunge. Drive our knee up. 1, 2, 3, and then switch. 1, 2, 3. If you're low impact, we just won't leave the floor. But you can jump, and I want you jumping up as high and as powerful. They're called power lunges for a reason. We're trying to create that power. 3 and 3, okay? For 1 minute. So you're just alternating right side, left side. No rest until you get to this next 30 seconds in which you can rest, regroup, all of that. And then we are going to finish you off with heel taps. So this is sort of a different variation of like a jumping jack. We're standing hip width apart, and we're trying to jump up and tap our heels, landing in a slight athletic stance. It's not a squat, but we want to land with soft knees so that we're not landing with straight locked out legs. So you want to slightly push back, arms can be in front of you, and we're working with these heel taps. If you want to make it harder, you go faster, okay? If you want to make it easier, take a little bit of time between each one of them. If you're low impact, then we're just moving, tapping right and left like so. 60 seconds. That's the last one. You will be completing 3 rounds of that, okay? So you know what to do. Off-knee bird dogs, power lunges, 3 per side, heel taps, 3 rounds, 60 on, 30 off. Pause. I'll see you back here for the strength. Woo! All right. All right, nice work, my friends. We are done. The conditioning, which is always a nice feeling to do at the beginning. But sometimes, oftentimes, it does make this next part feel a little bit more challenging. So we'll see. But we're going to do it anyways because you don't really have a choice. We are starting off with this first superset, 2 strength exercises. First one is our eccentric focused, which is our lowering phase, single leg deadlifts. So we're going to be working with these deadlifts, ideally with some resistance or some dumbbells in our hands, holding those dumbbells, 1 in each hand down by our sides, soft knee in the standing leg, 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds down, and then we want to drive that knee up to 90 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and you are doing a whopping 15 of these on each leg. So we have 15 on one side, 15 on the other. Your ass, your glutes are going to be on fire, and that is the goal of that one there. Of course, balance is involved as well. So that's our first exercise. Second one that we are working with is our sumo deadlifts. So again, those weights will be here for your first exercise, and then we're going to widen up our feet and hold them here for our second one. We want that angle out in our toes, hinging the hips back, bending into that deadlift, and then pulling back up to the top. 10 reps total on these sumos. So I'll show you from the side. Again, hips back, and then we bend in so that our hips are sitting above our knees in a deadlift rather than down here in a squat. We want to end up in this position, and then we pull forward. Normal tempo. So no focus on the down phase. Unless you want to make them a bit more challenging, then you can follow that same 4-second descent. 10 reps, and then we will take some rest, 30 to 45 seconds before you complete 2 more rounds, because we have 3 sets total, okay? So 15, 15, 4 seconds, an honest 4 seconds down on every one of those 15 reps. They're gonna burn, and that's the goal here. And then we have 10 of these sumo deadlifts, and then 3 rounds, and that's it, okay? So press pause, and then of course we have 2 more parts to this session after that. I'll see you back here for the second part. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are back for our second part, which needs our sliding situation. So what I'm going to do is fold up my mat so I have some room on my floor, because we have 2 exercises that are going to be working with the slider. And if you don't have a slider, or it's just not an ideal option for you, you don't have to use it. But if you do, we want to underneath one foot. We're going to have our weight on one side. It's going to be on the sliding side. So I'm going to hold the weight on the leg that's sliding, back into that lunge, and then pulling ourselves all the way up and forward, working with 10 reps of these slider reverse lunges. We want that slider leg to slightly come forward so that we're getting a nice squeeze on that standing working leg. 10 over here, and then we'll switch, and we'll do 10 on the other side. With this one, we have our slider hamstring curl. So if you have this sliding situation here, we're going to go ahead and lay on our back, have our heels on our slider, and we have feet out. We can either try to pull in with our hips up, or pull in and then reset with our butt touching the floor between each rep. Again, safety is always very important on these, so if you feel unsafe doing that with your hips up, try that sort of lowering variation first, and 12 to 15 reps. There's a couple other options you can do, including your dumbbell hamstring curl, which would be laying down on your tummy, holding that dumbbell between your feet, and then curling up to 90 degrees. Or we can also do our extended bridge. For those of us who don't have a slider, if you don't have dumbbells, what you can do instead is lay down, walk your feet out, and then work with this extended bridge, which is going to give you, again, a bit more focus on those hamstrings, okay? So that is our second superset. You're doing 4 rounds of this one. So we have our lunges, 10 and 10, and then our hamstrings, 12 to 15. Little bit of rest in between, same amount of time as the first set, 30 to 45 seconds before you go into each set, these movements, okay? So pause, and I will see you back here for the last part before we do our stretches, of course, our last strength superset. All right. Okay, welcome back. Welcome, and here we are for the last part here. We have 2 movements. You're on a timer. 60 seconds. We're going to be working with our 2 exercises. Now, we don't need dumbbells, but we do need the slider, and we do want our bands. So if you have bands, if you have more than one, what you can do is put a heavier one on your knees up here, a lighter one around your heels down here. This guy's going to stay on here the whole time, okay? If you only have one band, have it around your heels like this. We're going to be working with a 3-point extension. So soft knees, we'll hinge those hips back and put all of our weight on one leg, sending that leg out to the side, back on a 45, and then back beside the hip, doing this for 30 seconds on this side, and then we will switch. 30 seconds on this side. So for this one, your timer is going to be set to 1 minute. So you just have to watch it and make sure that you do switch at that halfway point. 30 seconds, and then we'll have 20 seconds of rest for you to feel those hips. Get yourself into a wall sit where we're going to hold for the second part, which is going to be an entire minute of this wall sit here. If you want to make this harder, what you can do is practice your toe lifts 2 at a time, okay? And we'll make sure our low back's into the wall, our core is nice and tight, our chest is high, we're not pressing on our legs. Woo! 1 minute of that one there. And you have 3 rounds of this, okay? So again, we'll keep that band on. 20 seconds of time in between each of these. Back to this first one, that 3-point extension. If you don't have the towel, we're just lightly tapping the floor, trying to essentially keep our balance and hold all of our weight on this one leg. 30 seconds, 60 on the wall sit. For those of us who don't have a wall, we can always hold a squat instead, okay? And that's what's up for the last part. So get it done, pause, and I'll see you back for the stretching. All right, everyone, nice work. We are here for the last part of the week, the stretching, which is all about our lower body. So what we're going to do is lay that mat back out, working with our first stretch, which is going to be our bow and arrow stretch. This is one that we often will do in the warm-up. We're using it for stretching purposes today. So we want to stack our legs, our knees, our hands, take a big breath, rock over, open up, and hold this here. If you have room, you can extend your arm out straight. If you're like me, a little short on space, you can keep it bent. We want to try to get that shoulder down while keeping our knees together. We're going to hold this here. Now again, put yourself on a timer, 30 to 60 seconds, or you could just breathe and just take some nice, about 10 to 15 nice inhale, exhales in this position here. Once you're done, we'll switch and do the same exact thing on the other side, as we always even this stuff out. Finishing off this one, we have a glute stretch for the back of the hips. Coming into this position here, we're going to take one knee, bring it up, and then walk that foot and hip back into this position, holding this here for, again, that same count. Half a minute to a minute. We'll hold this here. If you have sensitive knees, you can always do the one where we're on our back and we have our knee sort of bent up, how it feels, and hold that there. The last and final stretch, after you do that on both sides, is this one here, where we're sitting up, straightening out our legs, nice straight back, and then we walk our hands forward, getting that stretch through the back of the legs, a little bit in the lower back, and again, we'll hold this here for that same count. As usual, if you're short on time, just do one set. Get one set of stretching in. You're going to feel much better if you do. But if you can make a bit more time, even an extra 3 or 5 minutes of your day right now to do maybe 2 or 3, 4 sets of this little stretching circuit, it's overall going to help you loosen up, lengthen, and feel a lot more stretched out than if you just do one set, or if you skip this altogether, which I hopefully you don't do. All right, that is all, my friends. We are done here, week 4. We'll be back next week for the next 4 weeks, which are gonna be a little bit different, same pause, work, replay style, but we have some new stuff on the menu, so it's exciting. So I will see you then. Have a great weekend, and have a great day, great night, and I will catch you guys next week.